What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here. Delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. And this is actually my second attempt to record this. There's a couple pieces of nudity in this book, and I just don't want to get flagged on YouTube for that. So I'm having to be very careful here. I should mark the pages so I don't actually accidentally open them somehow. But I'll do the best of what I can in this book. Anyway, this is ENIAC. It's by Matt Kint, Doug Braithwaite, and Diego Rodriguez, who's the colorist. And it's published by Bad Idea. Bad Idea is a new publishing company who took a lot of the talent from Valiant in 2012 through 2018 and basically started their own deal without a superhero universe. They're doing kind of weird, cool, independent concepts at this point, which I'm all for. So I'm really into that. And this is their first offering. Now, it's already sold out everywhere. There will be a second printing, which they call their not first printing, as it is. And you can get this later, but this is already so hot. There was a line at the comic book shop. It was allocated to the stores. I mean, they're crushing it already. So that's where we're at with this. This is a beautiful cover by Luis La Rosa, who's one of my favorite artists. You see this kind of like horrific looking scene here. ENIAC is the story of a couple of secret agents who are going after this supercomputer. And this supercomputer was developed in the 40s, and it's been directing major events for a while. This entire first issue, there will be some spoilers, I should say that now. But this first issue is really a lot of setup. So the story itself, as it's unfolding, is really not going all that far. There's a lot of backstory to it. And it's done very well. I'll get to that in just a second. But it starts out in a very James Bond fashion with these two agents of the U.S. who are tracking down these terrorists, and they track them down to Moscow, and do their little deed. You know, the open in action and then set the story scene afterwards is definitely a James Bond sort of deal. I love this sort of setup and storytelling. Really exciting stuff right at the beginning, and then you get this like sort of credits page where you feel like you get the movie credits rolling in here. Now, I should talk about the art. Doug Braithwaite is a beautiful, beautiful artist. He does a wonderful job. Every panel just is so pretty. I love looking at it. And major props to Diego Rodriguez too. The colors on here are just phenomenal, and just makes me happy and at home reading this stuff. The colorists don't usually get as much love as some of the line artists, but they should, especially like if you look at this face, some of that like impressionistic detail really adds a lot of flavor to this. It's just really, really cool. Now I have to be careful in opening some of the pages here because there is a little bit of nudity in the book. But what happens is they meet with a fellow who's from the Secretary of Defense, and he sets them on a mission to take down this supercomputer ENIAC. And he goes into the backstory of how this was developed back in 1942. Again, just beautiful art. The scene setting from 1942 versus modern is very apparent. You could definitely tell the different eras. They did a great job all the way around with this. Matt Kint does a great job with the voices of the characters too. I gotta say, there's drama, there's action. There's some of the dialogue's humorous, so it kind of breaks up the seriousness of it, which I really like. Matt Kint's one of my favorite writers, and there's a good reason why. So we get into the backstory really with all of this, and then he sets them on the mission to take down the supercomputer, and of course things go a little awry at the end. That's about all you can say about it. I mean, most of the story is this backstory over the years for this supercomputer from 1942 until now. And it's done really well. Like, you can see that it's not done in just a way where it's just info dumping you. You're actually getting kind of a story from that period during that time. So I really enjoyed this. This is the main story. And what's cool about these Bad Idea books is it's a longer book than normal as it is, but there's also a backstory to it. So they put these little side stories in the back to help things. This one's called Hero Trade. And I guess they did a release of Hero Trade before. This is Matt Kint writing again with David Lapham, who's a very popular independent artist. There's a much more cartoony style, and there's some corporation, they're developing something, there's something in a briefcase, and it gets stolen. And if you like, more standard comics, I think this is kind of more on that level where that really felt like an action movie before. And the thief does his thing, and we end up seeing this prison sort of set up at the end of it, where there's these weird people who look like they've been experimented on or have some superpowers or something, and we don't know what's going on there. So this one's kind of an odd read. It doesn't really feel like a full story. You just kind of get that little intro to what's going on. I'm going to guess there's going to be some hero trade in the future that elaborates on this. I had to read this twice to really catch most of what was going on here. It was not all the way apparent the first time around. I was like, what's going on? So it's interesting as an intro. I look at this more of it as a preview than I look at it as a full story. But the ENIAC bit at the beginning, and I guess Matt Kinton actually does some art himself on the back, which is kind of neat. I don't quite understand the representation of this or what this has to do with the story, but that's that. But beautiful stuff. This is a great first outing. I could not put ENIAC down. I was very excited reading this. The intro is good. It hooks me. And I can't wait for the next issue. So this is going to be a great thing. Super excited. 9 out of 10. I mentioned there's nudity in it. I know some of my audience might be a little skeptical about that. It's not really a pornographic take, I would say. There's nothing really sexy about it. There's a good reason for it. It's not explicitly stated, but there is a reason for it story-wise, which makes a lot of sense. And so it definitely is a very important part of why that is going on. So you can definitely glimpse that and understand that as you read the book. Quite a bit of swearing in it. I was a little jarred by that. Maybe these things weren't super necessary, but it does work with the story. You just got to make sure you know that this is definitely rated R, and don't give this to kids. So that's it. I'd say this is a 9 out of 10. Good start. I'm really happy with Bad Idea, and I hope they have huge success with this and in the future. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you soon.